Hello, 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 hello. Oops, I'm a different channel. Hello, everybody, and happy Wednesday. I had to think about what day of the week it was. I can disable that. We don't need that on right now. How is everyone doing? I'm doing it pretty good. I had a pretty good day. Honestly, I've had a pretty freaking fantastic week, if I'm gonna be honest. Let me turn on Spotify. Today, I'm going to make sure I listen to stream safe music. Actually, can I look up like DMCA free? Stream friendly bangers. Let me make sure, is this safe for Twitch streaming? Ba-da-ba. I need to find some good tunes to listen to. We'll do this stream safe nerdy lo-fi. That's my go-to playlist anyways. Oh, actually, wait, frick. There is... I'll do stream safe lo-fi, actually. I want something that doesn't have words. I just want nice ambiance music. I also want to make sure it's not too loud because when I upload the VOD, I want to be heard. But yeah, I've had a pretty great week. Yesterday's art fic stream was really fun, and then I played some Repo with some friends last night, and it was such a good time. And here we are, ready to talk about this manga. I'm gonna be honest, I'm gonna be real with y'all. I think this manga club stream is probably the one that I have been most prepared for. I guess our first manga was Witch Hat Atelier, and I had a whole presentation, but I think this new format I have is going to help out a lot, and I would like to thank Softy so much, because Softy, I think, really helped me think about how to run Manga Club differently and post a lot of good resources. So this is now an official club. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We're going to be talking about the book. We're going to be talking about the manga, and we're going to have a great time. So our manga for this past month was Our Dreams at Dusk, which is such a beautiful story. I highly enjoyed reading it. I went and I ended up rating it a 10 out of 10 on my anime list because I adored this manga. The series was beautiful. I actually went out and bought the first volume of the manga. There are 4 total volumes. They only had the first volume, but I will probably go buy the rest because it was beautiful. It was truthfully beautiful. So at first, let me get in and read the synopsis of Our Dreams at Dusk. Let me pull it up on Annie list. I like that synopsis better than the My Anime list. Our Dreams at Dusk. Wait, actually, I have it posted. I don't gotta be doing all that. I have it posted. Let me move this so you can see it a little better. Okay. So, Our Dreams at Dusk synopsis. Not only is the high schooler Tatsuku Kaname the new kid in town, he's also terrified that he's been outed as gay. Just as he's contemplating doing the unthinkable, Tatsuku meets a mysterious woman who leads him to a group of people dealing with problems not so different from his own. In this realistic, heartfelt depiction of LGBT plus characters from different backgrounds finding their place in the world, a search for inner peace proves to be the most universal experience of all. This manga is so beautiful. This manga is so beautiful. Now, I do have some questions, and I have them on our starting soon screen just to get the brain juices flowing. I also posted them in the server. I thought of some of my answers yesterday, just in my mind, but we're going to talk about that. We're going to be going through this channel, talking about all of the different things that we posted throughout the month, and we'll also... After we talk about then, we'll get into the questions, and I have a few things to watch, and we'll talk about some things, and then we're gonna watch some videos as well. And again, I'd like to thank Softy because Softy linked a lot of very beautiful resources for this manga. And I don't know if I mentioned this, but Softy also recommended this manga, which I think was such the perfect thing to read during Pride Month. Okay, let's get into it. Okay, so in the channel, we pretty much just post like screenshots of the manga, either things that are like were really eye-catching and beautiful, or just some scenes that we wanted to talk about. So let's first go through the channel just to look at all of the beautiful images that we posted. Okay, let me find some good ones. One thing about this manga is that the use of imagery is immaculate. And I know most people be like, well, duh, it's a manga. Like, of course. But the way they depict feelings and emotions is astonishing. It is so amazing. And it really helps connect you to the manga as well. Being able just to see how they kind of explain a lot of the really big emotions the characters are feeling with panels like this. I took so many screenshots of this manga, and I have an e-reader that I love very, very dearly, and I have so many screensavers. I just have it set to random like full art panels of different manga that I've read, and I need to go through and add so many from Our Dreams Dusk because it is gorgeous. Okay, let me find some parts. You know, actually, we're gonna skip all that. We're gonna go straight to the questions. And then we're gonna go back. We're gonna do a question at a time. Let me move my Discord window. Okay, so the first question that I asked, which I pulled from a resource that again Softy posted, which are just like book club questions. I went through and I started looking at the questions that I thought would relate the most to the manga that we read, because not all the questions are going to fit for everything you read. But the first one that I saw that I thought was really a good pick for this manga is, what character did you relate to the most? Because that to me was one of the biggest points of the manga, is being able to not only relate to specific characters, but also put yourself in the shoes of many characters. This I wouldn't necessarily say it's a coming to age story, but it's more of a self-discovery and self-journey story. So there are so many different characters that you can relate to. Whether you relate to it because of internalized homophobia or external, I guess, or you relate to them by how different characters identify or how they discover their identities, I thought this was like one of the most perfect questions for this manga. I know I personally, out of all of the characters, I think I related to Someone-san the most. I loved their character. I think their ambiguity is definitely something that I say I relate to, but more of she has this thing where she's like, you can tell me things, but I won't listen. She really has her, like, she's very perceived as a person, right? People are like, oh, like, who is she? Oh, it's just someone. And I personally love that. I don't like being perceived. I sometimes wish to just be a person, to just exist as a human. So I think I definitely related to her in that way the most. And then especially when we got into her backstory about where someone came from and how she identifies, I think it was very beautiful. Let me see if we posted any of those images here. Okay, this is one of them. No, that is not one of them. That's actually at the end of the manga. Okay, oh, here we go. There we go, okay. Some of these are going to be out of order too. I try to make sure I post them in order, but I think I clicked some in the wrong order. So this was from, oh gosh, I'm really bad at names, so I have I have a page open that has all the characters' names, because I'm pretty much just like, oh yeah, the main character, the main character had a crush on, and this person. But Tasuku, okay, let me go back. So this is when Tasuku was talking to Someone-san, and it's just, I'm a human dinosaur. I'm not a person. I'm not a bird. I'm your ally. I'm an earthling, and I'm a whirlpooling Jupiterian. I'm not even a fragment of a shooting star, so who am I? And again, like the imagery of all of this. She's just a silhouette. Oh, honestly, quite a monstrous silhouette as well. And then all these other things that this is what I am. Oops. Is this one before? Yes. I thought this was so beautiful because in this scene, she's kind of getting lost with her identity. And I think it was just so comforting. Just, I don't want to lose sight of you. It's just very solidifying on the fact that you are you. I don't want to lose sight of you because you are you. And I loved it. Do I have more images of... Here we go. Okay, so is this the flashback? That's not... Okay, yes, this is someone's... I loved this panel so much. I thought it was so beautiful. This is her making some drinks. Okay, this is where she actually got her name. This is from the older gentleman, Ilya, and then his husband. This is when they, I believe, first met someone. And then maybe it's that you just want to be no one, just someone from who knows where. And this is where she got her name. And you can really tell that how it clicked with her. I'm just someone, I like just the little stare. I think that was all of this someone. All the ones related to her identity. Wait, no. I have to have, what is this? What are you afraid of? I thought I had a big part talking about someone. Are we talking about Mizora? No, okay, that's a different character. Okay. Our next question. How did the author effectively build tension and suspense through the story? This one, I think how it's not a scary story, right? There are elements that can make you hurt inside, right? With a lot of like the homophobia and just like the hatred that a few of the characters have. But I think the biggest tension and suspense in the story was between what's his name? Toma and Tatsuku's relationship, right? The beginning of the story, you see the main character, Tatsuku, trying to commit suicide because he is coming to terms with being gay. And that's a big part of the story. That's the entire story, is him finding himself and coming to terms with himself and his identity. And I think the suspense and the tension is when he has a crush on Toma, and the suspense is what's going to happen when he finds out. Is he going to tell him? Is he going to come out as gay? And then what is Toma's reaction going to be? And then they kind of play around with this throughout the story as well, where there are quite a few panels where Toma will sort of tease Tatsuku, and then even the main character's aware, kind of like, does he know? Does he know? Is he purposefully teasing me? Am I just looking too much into this? And there are so many moments where I was just on the edge of my seat, like, oh, is this the moment that he's gonna know? Are they gonna kiss? Are they gonna kiss? Please? that was just me the whole story with anybody. I was like, oh, I think I kiss. Let me find some examples. I swear that we have to have like a million examples of them like teasing one another. Oh, I think I just passed one. Okay, this is the beginning. Someone. I love that one. Okay, this is one. I don't remember the context of that image, but this one, this is Probably this panel is one of the, I would say, one of the more iconic panels in the manga, just showing the big feelings and kind of, shattering his perception of Toma. And I just, oh, his heart is exploding. This panel, he touches his face, kind of the smirk, and is, wow. Oh, beautiful. I actually went on Procreate and tried to make them kiss because I love them so much. Where's another image of Toma? Oh my god. I forgot they call him Kaname. See here's another one. This is not at all like the teasing I was talking about. This is more of kind of the suspense and the tension that's in the manga. He's just waving at him at school, just, hey, they were on the health committee together, and then they kind of grew closer and closer, and then even other characters question, like, why are you so close with him? Like, you've never talked before, like, you're on the volleyball team, he's not, and there was just always, oh, we're on the health committee. And then when Toma, his last name, Tsubaki, when he also joins the Cat Clutter Club, then they hang out more and more and more, and then a lot of the other characters kind of question their friendship more and more, which from a more Western perspective, it's not that strange, at least from like the schools I went to, you're with other people all of the time, but it's a little more rigid, right? If you don't have a club, you're not in the same class. If you've never really talked before, it's like, oh, how do you guys know each other? Why are you friends? What kind of groups or after school activities are you in together? But this one, I also really love this one where he has those little butterflies, little fishies, because he has a crush on him. And he said hi. And when you have a crush on somebody and they acknowledge you, and it's just kind of like, oh, hi. You're you get flustered. You have the little butterflies in your tummy. And then, bam. This is gonna ruin me. I adored this panel because he's suppressing his emotions out of fear, right? He's afraid of what other people are going to think of him. Oh, what if people know I like a boy? I'm a boy. A lot of people think that's not okay. And he's eating his emotions. He's consuming them and he's suppressing them. And I think this also adds a lot to the suspense of the imagery of this, right? He has all these big emotions. We see a panel where he's exploding, he's shattering, and then another panel where he's eating his emotions, he's consuming them, he's suppressing them. And it just adds that tension of how long will that last and what will happen when he can no longer keep it in. Yes, see, this panel's so beautiful to me. I like their expression of pure joy. Oh, this, I thought I was reading that and I was like, wait, this is not pure joy. No, I love them. I love them. Where? on Procreate, I went into Procreate and I just made them get closer and I was like, they kissed. I'm happy. Let's see if we have any other tension or suspense. Oh my gosh, there's a lot of other suspense with other characters as well. I feel like another big point of suspension and tension was with Mizora. Unless I'm misremembering, it's also part of that too with Mizora's identity, right? Mizora is was perceived as a little boy, and he loves to dress up. He loves to dress up as this very adorable little girl, and he had a lot of trouble with that, with coming to terms with his identity too. And granted, he's very young, right? I don't think they ever went through with like a label, mainly because Mizora never really came with it. In the end of the manga, we see Mizora show up at the wedding, I believe, dressed as a beautiful girl. And in Mizora's backstory, they have a house full of girls. They live with their mom and they live with all their sisters. They're surrounded by girls all of the time. And the tension with their relationship with Kaname and Mizora, I love their dynamic at first. And the main character is really trying to understand Mizora, but from Mizora's perspective, right, Mizora didn't have the answers. oh, well, do you want to be a girl? Are you trans? Do you just like cross-dressing? Are you just like fluid? And it was very overwhelming for Mizora. Let's find that panel. Here they are. Okay. This was when Mizora was at Kaname's house, and he was kind of pressuring Mizora, kind of. But from the main character's perspective, he was really just trying to understand. He just wanted to be able to help Mizora and talk to him and figure out, you know, what's your identity? Like, in a way, this is bad phrasing. Oh, like, what are you? What's your labels? And Mizora doesn't have the answers. Mizora's a kid. And Mizora does get very flustered. And then the breaking point for Mizora also was at the festival, which was so beautiful. Seeing, do I have the picture? Okay, congrats on first. Let's see if I have the pictures from the festival. I don't think I do. Talk about that in a moment. I guess this was the festival. So the main character convinced Mizora to dress up, you know, wear, you know, your most beautiful outfit. Let's go out to the festival. You can go out as a girl and I'll be there with you. And it kind of blew up. It kind of took a wrong turn. But it was so beautiful. Let's see. Is this when they ran? Oops. That's Mizora. I don't know if I posted about the Mizora. Here we go. Okay, here we go. So this is what I was talking about when Kaname was talking to Mizora kind of about their identity and just, you know, I don't understand anything. Because figuring out your own identity can be hard, and you know, there are endless options and you don't have to label it and narrow it down to one thing. And with Kaname kind of being new to the queer space, his perception is just like all of his other peers, kind of like, oh, gay people, oh gosh, those kinds of people sort of perception. And he's just trying to understand, but like, it's a lot. And we were talking about here, like, feeling so bad for Mizora. Tasuku didn't really get it because he wanted the answers, but he didn't realize that there isn't always an answer. And you're also not owed any answers. Color panels. Let's see what else was tension. Oh, a lot of these scenes had a lot of tension in them. I mean, there was a lot of tension with I already forgot his name. Tsubaki's father, when he goes to the cat clutter and you find out that's his father, and he kind of says derogatory things to them. He's kind of like, oh, you know, those people. He calls them, you know, slurs. And then we kind of see also where Tsubaki, I keep forgetting his name, where like what environment Tsubaki was raised in, right? Where he lives, his father's perception of gay people and the queer community, kind of like, oh, you're hanging around those people. And we can definitely see that come to play when they were at the ramen shop, right? Yeah, talking about, you know, that work, you know, it's a bunch of, you know, what, and stuff doing it. And then, you know, Tasuku's still helping out, though. Things like that really happen. I guess all the people doing the Renos are like that. It's not bad, but it freaks me out. That's kind of how a lot of characters in this manga are. And it's very, you know, you can see that even in today's society where it's the, I don't like it, but you do you sort of way. Like, I'm trying to figure out how to word this. Kind of a, I don't like that, but and he kind of comes through with that too. I mean, it's not bad, but it freaks me out a little bit. he's kind of like, it's okay, but I don't like it. And then he says all this stuff, and then we have the panel where, there we go, where our main character here is kind of freaking out, right? He's kind of freaking out because he's sitting next to his crush, who's talking about, oh yeah, you know, all those gay people work there, they all work there, and you know, like, oh, this guy still goes there anyways. And then this girl, I don't remember her name, but she was a fucking champion. And then Tsubaki's saying, oh, better not to get dragged into that kind of stuff, you know. And then bam, why do you gotta talk about people like that? And she puts him in his place, right? And this is one of the first times in the manga, if not one of like the few times, we see somebody stand up to it, right? Because Haruka, is that her name? Haruko, one of the lesbian characters who is in the Cat Clutter Club, she always wants to talk about it, but everyone's kind of like, it's not worth it, right? This guy's here to like collect rent, this guy's here to check up on us, and he's like, oh, haha, you people. And she's, you know, like held on a leash, like, no, she's sitting there barking, she's ready to put him in his place, and everyone's like, no. But like, this character's like, why do I do that? It's actually not cool to talk about like that. And it made me so happy when she did that, like when she said that, and I was like, first of all, yes, put him in his place. Second, thank you, I'm so glad somebody stood up and said something, because it can be hard to do that, right? And then they all kind of, this is going to be sideways, but they all kind of like sit in silence, right? She's sitting there kind of like, She has this kind of like worried expression. He is baffled. He was baffled. And you can kind of see the relief on his face, right? You can see the relief, like, oh, ooh. I thought that place was so pretty. Oh, yeah, and then Kaname, thank you, girl whose name I don't remember. And I was like, I feel like that too, because I do not remember her name. I don't remember anybody's name. That's why I have a website open with everyone's name. Let's see. Here we go. Thank you, girl whose name I don't remember. That was not tension. I guess no, there was tension there. There was a lot of tension there. With Utsumi. Let me see. Did I have a script? I know I talked about it. That one's different. Oh, this is so beautiful. I was also so glad. The expressions, the art in this manga is so beautiful. Did I not have any? Oh, this was also one of the suspenses when this happened. You can see like the fear almost. Try to see if I had. Okay, Utsumi, okay. Okay, so this character shows up in the manga, and they were a former friend of Utsumi, who is a trans man. We find out in this kind of that he is a trans man. She shows up and is like, oh, you're so different. You're so different. Well, we're having this like reunion from our girls. It was volleyball, I believe. I believe they're girls volleyball club. And then she's like, oh, you need to come. All the girls are going to be so happy to be reunited. And there is a lot of dialogue sort of like that. And I hated her ever since I first saw her. Sorry, not to be rude, but I did not like her. Did I not? We have this panel. So the woman refers to Utsumi as their former name before they transitioned, and even other people kind of like drop hints like, oh hey, Utsumi, like, you know, and all these other names. And Haruko, she was getting so frustrated. She was very much like, I don't like her vibes. She's kind of coming here and has this expectation of you are who you once were. She comes in and calls you by your old name, is all chummy, but she does not understand you, right? And I could feel her frustration. Here, she punches a wall. She's just so frustrated because she's like, this is my friend and you're disrespecting him. And you know, he was just always like, no, it's not like that. It's not like that. And he was very forgiving. He was such a beautiful character. And I feel like these scenes were very suspenseful, kind of like what direction is she going to take? She being the former friend of Utsumi. You know, she's inviting him to this girls' lunch from our all-girls volleyball team. Oh, all the girls are going to be so happy to see you and reunite with you. And I was just always kind of, I had my suspicions about her, right? And, you know, he shows up to this girls' lunch and, you know, some people are surprised and people had questions, right? People had questions for him. And then she shuts him down. If someone's ill, it's not okay to dig for details. Even if you're close, it's rude. And this, I believe there were several times where she referred to as Utsumi as ill, seeing that him being trans was an illness rather than him coming to terms with himself and his identity and just figuring out who he was. And, you know, granted, that was her perception. She doesn't understand transness. She doesn't understand that some people just feel that way. That's just how some people are. And she thinks of it as an illness. And I swear I saw this and I put it down. Yeah, anytime she says illness, I think I saw this and I closed it. I was like, no, I'm done. I'm tired of that. Yeah, here, but if you give up on telling people, then we'll never understand each other. I don't want people like you to be misunderstood. And then, oh no, this is when he kind of confronted her with her kid, and then he was just like, don't do this, because at the dinner, he steps away, he leaves, right? And she kind of brings up like that, you know, he has this illness and, you know, it's okay. And then after he confronts her about it, don't pity us and feel superior, right? She doesn't come back. Her kid does come back. Her child does come back at that Cat Clutter Club and hangs out at the drop-in. And I thought it was so cute that her like kid kept coming by. But like that whole character, she just didn't understand it. And a part of it too was the unwillingness to understand and get over her own perception of him. She's very much, oh, you know, you're ill, you don't understand. And he's like, no. You don't understand. You don't understand. Okay, that one was good. Let me see. We're looking at suspense. Okay, this was Tsubaki. Was this when I'm trying to see if that's where I think it is. Okay, I think that was. I just wanted to make sure that I was gonna be talking about the right panel. Let's see. Okay, here. I believe this is when our main character kind of comes out and talks about it, right? And tells him, you know, yeah, I'm gay and I like you, bro. And when they were talking about it, he was angry and frustrated. And later we find out that part of the anger and frustration is that Tsubaki himself does not understand himself and what he likes. He kind of says that, he kind of comes out and says that I don't really know, I might like men, I might not, I don't really know right now. But in this moment, he was very angry and very frustrated. He says, this thing about it pisses me off. What's their deal anyway? why not keep quiet about being a homo or a leslie? Instead, they're all out there being full of themselves and doing charity work and stuff. You know, oh gosh, the gay people are doing charity. Oh gosh, how dare they? And he says, like, Utsumi-san totally got out as a former woman and he acts like it's nothing. And I think, like, just reading it, and it's very telling, right? That these other people care so much about other people's identities, right? He's, oh, Utsumi got outed and he doesn't even care. Why does he not care? And just reading it, you kind of think like, yeah, because Utsumi knows who he is. He knows who he is and he knows what he was, and he understands that and he accepts that. Now, of course, it doesn't make it hurt any less if other people are going to be, you know, outing him and coming at him and calling him ill. But when you're on the outside and you don't necessarily understand things, it's like, oh my God, he doesn't care about that. Why doesn't he care about being outed? Oh my gosh. Because he himself, Tsubaki, doesn't understand him, right? And reading this, you can kind of tell if he got outed, he would not act like it's nothing, right? Same with our main character, right? Because they have not come to terms with themselves. Oh, this manga is so beautiful. I love this panel too. All of like their nice like little memories. I'm looking for more suspense. Oh, here's what I was talking about. Right now, part of me thinks I might like guys. Another part of me feels like there's no way I could. I still don't know how to accept myself or even what it is I want to accept. I just don't know. And it was so beautiful seeing them hug. This made me so happy when they were hugging. Because he says, you know, Tatsuko, I think the way you live is super cool. Like, how you don't flinch when someone says something gross to you. You face it. I was just sort of surprised, you know, you were awesome. And from the reader's perspective, it's kind of like, what? Like, Tatsuko does care. He definitely does flinch. His internal monologue when these things happen is there's fear, right? When people say stuff like that, he's kind of like, oh no, am I going to be outed? Are people going to know? Are they going to know? Are they going to know? But from Tsubaki's perspective, it's, you face it. You face it head on. You don't have a care. It doesn't affect you. And it definitely shows that we were seeing all of these big emotions from Kaname, but he wasn't expressing his big emotions. He's keeping them all in. And then they hugged. We saw that and it was very beautiful. Oh, yes. Did this... That I touched the part of his heart that was so confused and unsure, and maybe understood him a little. And then I really do like him. And it was just... Oh, I love them. I was so happy when they hugged. I was so happy. This was Christmas. Let's see. We're still on the tension question. Oh my God. This is when I was talking about when we saw Mizora again. Don't they look beautiful? The wedding. Okay. So we've talked about what character do you relate to the most? And of course, feel free to answer them. Like, if I've already gone over them, you can go ahead and answer them. So we've answered what character do you relate to the most. We talked about how did the author effectively build tension and suspense through the story. And our next one is, what did you find most interesting or enlightening about the subject matter of the book? So, I found... Now, we have a few things to read about that I think relate to this question. So, what I found most interesting or enlightening about the subject matter is just how they tackle these more difficult subjects, right? The book starts off in a way that is kind of dark, right? Our main character tries to commit suicide, right? And then we see his self-acceptance journey. And I think it's very interesting seeing all of the internal dialogue from someone who is closeted, right? He, throughout the story, is coming to terms with having a crush on a guy and being gay, and then going to the Cat Clutter Club and meeting all of these other people who accept who they are, right? Haruko is an open lesbian woman. She talks about it. She talks to her partner about, hey, you need to tell your family, I want to get married. And then we have our beautiful old man, Ilya, which later in the story we find out is with a man. Oh, I love them so much. And then, yeah, we have our trans character. We have a character who's still finding out their identity. We have Mizora, who's still figuring it out. And I think it's very interesting, and it's very interesting to see all of these different identities together and see how each person can help each other discover things about themselves. And the enlightening part as well is we have a few posts and a video about it too, about how, I know Softy talked about it, how there are plenty of people who have read this book and have changed their mind, right? There are many people who have read this series and it, for lack of a better word, it cured, quote unquote, homophobia. Because this story, it puts you in the shoes of our main character, right? With all of the panels of the big emotions, explaining them, seeing the fear in all of the scenes. And it really just, it shows you how other people's perception and words can be harming, right? We have characters using, you know, slurs. We have characters being like, oh, those kind of people all of the time. And we have these unaccepting people. And then we have the character who Kaname has a crush on. We have Tsubaki. Let me check again that that's his name. Yeah. We have Tomo, we have Tsubaki, who several points in the manga is homophobic, right? He is homophobic in several parts of the manga, and you know, we come to find out that from his environment that he grew up in, not only within the society but also in his own home, with how his father talks about the people at the Cat Clutter Club, how he talks about, you know, those people, the gay people who are there, and that's how he grew up with, and that's how he was raised. And then he's kind of projecting, right? Especially after we see the points where he talks about, you know, I might be into guys, but I don't know. He just hasn't fully explored it because it was, you know, it was never an option, right? He has a dad who's homophobic and a semi-homophobic society, and everything's telling him this is wrong. So even though he might feel that inside, everything tells him it's wrong. So then he's projecting about it. And definitely seeing that and seeing the development from him being that way, openly saying those nasty things, and then, you know, our main character comes out to him, says, you know, I like you, I'm gay, and then we kind of see, you know, that anger, and then the calm after the storm, where he's like, I might be too, I don't know yet, I need to have more self-discovery. And I feel like that could be very enlightening for people to see a character that they could relate to change. We have a few things to watch and read about that as well, but we'll do that after we answer the questions. Actually, no, we will. Our next question. In what ways did the author's writing style and narrative approach contribute to the book's impact in communicating the subject? So, it's not necessarily the writing style. I'm going to talk more about the imagery in the book for a lot of the big feelings. I think the way the author had drawn the panels with the huge emotions definitely helped convey the overall message, right? We have the panels we talked about where, you know, he is shattering and when he's eating his emotions. And then they have that panel where after the rage when he came out to him, and then all of their memories. We have, you know, look, all these memory bubbles from the Christmas with all of the people he's met along the way. We're gonna look for some more. But I think that definitely helps convey, right? And yeah, it's a manga. There's gonna be pictures. That's the whole thing. But the way they are used to show what's happening and emotions and how the characters feel definitely help the narrative. Ba, 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 ba. Like this one, right? The sort of alien imagery, because he doesn't understand, right? He's feeling alienated. Let's continue. Oh, I'm typing. Like, look how beautiful that is. Everything was just beautiful in this manga. I love imagery. Imagery, my beloved. Yes! Also, the faces are so good in this manga. That one, I love that one. I don't know the context of that one. I'm looking for our imagery examples for this question. Oh, this is not the imagery, but this was cracking me up when they were walking and then our main character was like, Mizora, you shouldn't be walking alone at night, and like scared him, and then Dr. Pippi, and then Mizora scares him back, and then someone scares them both. I love that part. Oh, this imagery, right? Where it's showing Mizora drowning and trapped, right? He was at our main character's house. They're talking about things. He's being questioned, asked about, you know, his identity and all of these things that he doesn't have an answer to and he doesn't know, and the stress from that situation. And then showing the imagery of our main character with a cup, Mizora in it, underwater, and he's going to leave, and then we see him go, I just don't know, right? And like stuff like that, because you can just look at it and be like, oh, cool art, next. But when you like have the context of the scenes and you think about it, and it's just, you know, Mizora's drowning under all these questions, Mizora doesn't have answers, Mizora's trapped, right? Oh, what's this one? The record player. Oh, that too. This it's a little different, but Ilya, right, conveys a lot of their emotions through music. There's a song for anything. He has I'm gonna call it a record player. I don't think that's technically what it was, but when it broke and he had to go get it fixed, and he was just, I'm not gonna listen to music till then. And he shares music. That's part of the ways that he talks about things, is that he will go and he's like, oh, this occasion needs this specific song. And I really wish when I was reading it, I would have went and listened to each of the songs that he mentioned as well and kind of read along with that music, because I also love music. I have a music background, and music can be so emotional, right? And just having that character who expresses their emotions and love through music was beautiful. Was beautiful. And especially when we find out that he shares his love for music with his partner, which see here. They're at the wedding, right? I'm going backwards. Right, they're at this beautiful wedding. They're getting married. We have Haruko and Shuji, I believe, getting married, and it was so beautiful. Like, when I saw the cover of this manga and I saw that it was the wedding, because from like, I believe the first manga they talk about getting married, Haruko's like, you have to tell your parents so, girl, we can get married. And then it happens, and then we see Ilya check his phone with this drained look, and he finds out that it's his partner is not doing well. And I cried at this part, right? When he goes to the hospital and he sees his partner, who in a way he hasn't been hiding from his partner, but from his partner's son. They had these moments where, you know, Ilya would leave in time for his partner's son to come in, because he didn't want to have that extra pressure on his son of, oh, you know, your father is gay and with a man, because that is what broke up his marriage. I cried when the thing that got me in this manga is when the old man died, because it was so sad. And hello, this is where I cried, right here. I was just like, they didn't have to do that, right? We all knew it was gonna happen. They didn't have to do it. They didn't have to do it. And it was just, but then again, I might cry while thinking about it. It's that he was this gay man and his partner. I don't think they were officially married. And granted, I don't know the laws, right? But he was able to pass with his son and his, I'll say his husband there. And from the looks of it, he was able to die happy, right? Look at that. Look how beautiful. Oh, this makes me so sad. I'm not gonna cry. I feel it in my eyeballs. My eyeballs are tearing up. It was just, these are another ways they used imagery, right? The music, and we know music is a huge, is a huge part of his character, right? Oh, that's someone. Oh, I think this is when he was conflicted, because he wanted to be there for Haruko, or he wanted to be there for the wedding, right? He was like, I want to be here, but my husband. And someone was like, go. And then we see this imagery as well. The joy of him seeing him in his final moments. And the imagery too, right? Do we think that his bedridden husband, who is on his deathbed, is jumping out of bed for joy? No, but he was so excited to see Ilya. Oh. Yeah, and it was more of Ilya's choice, right? Ilya didn't want that pressure to be put on his partner, so he was just, you know, I'm going to avoid your son. We don't have to talk about that, because he knows that that's what, like, destroyed his former family, right? Him being gay. But then the text actually didn't come from Ilya, right? The text, or not Ilya, didn't come from his partner, it came from his son, saying, hey, I see you're a contact and he talks to you all the time, and you're clearly an important person to my dad. You need to come to the hospital, right? And it was just like, because then you see that now they can have a relationship. And yeah, like you said, like the time wasted where they all could have been visiting together and been a family, but he was afraid, and he didn't want to ruin his relationship with his partner, right? He was like, okay, he's able to have this relationship with his son, and I don't want to ruin that. Especially because he knew that his partner was not going to be around for much longer, and he just wanted him to be able to enjoy everything he could. Okay, we have our last question here that I prepped. What were the most memorable moments or seen in the book, and why did they stand out to you? So, for me, the most memorable parts of the entire story are definitely, we're gonna start up at the top. I really like this scene. This panel is one of my favorite panels. Where's the other one that I'm thinking of? This one. The panel where he is shattering, and the panel where this is going to ruin me, and he's suppressing his emotions and eating them, and he's concealing them. Those are probably two of the most memorable ones. Those and most memorable panels and scenes. The one with someone. Let me find it. This one. This one is very memorable. And then again, the end of the manga where Ilia's partner passes is also one of the most memorable parts. Just because it's just so sad, you know? But having elderly queer people is very important, right? Knowing that, especially in society that is against them. And then seeing someone who is a happy elderly queer person is just, oh, so beautiful. So beautiful. So beautiful. The one at the end with Mizora is one of your memorables for the wedding. Oh, the wedding, definitely. I think for me, more of the build up to the wedding, right? Where they go and then they talk to Shuji. Oh, no, Shuji's Mizora. Saki. Oh, I'm so sorry. Oops. Minimize Discord. Where Haruko brings her partner to her parents, and then you're like, hey, we're getting married. And then her mom was just kind of like, oh, yeah, I knew that. I've kind of always known. That's so, thank you, sweetie. And I was like, yes, success. Hello, Slick. Slick. 50,000 channel points. Oh my goodness. No. Oh, I'll have to talk about that when you're back. I will also have to give you VIP, I think. Look at that. The Discord role. One second, let me look. I'm freaking kidding me. The other person who's redeemed it doesn't have a role. They're admin. We're Slick. You get VIP. Oh, don't mind me. You all get to, you all just get to see my server. There's nothing crazy happening there. That was like general chat. Let me go through and let's see what we talked about. Let me see if anything we talked about will expand on what I've talked about. I have like these videos and stuff ready to be watched, and we will watch those here soon. We have this one, which is how 3 manga shattered my closed-mindedness. We'll go and we'll watch the section that is about our dreams at dusk. We have this Reddit thread. There were 2 music videos which we aren't gonna watch. Let me see what I have pulled up. We have a video about visual metaphors. We have a 27-second clip of if it was an anime. We might listen to that muted. And then the how 3 manga shattered my closed-mindedness. That's other stuff. Close. Okay. We're gonna wait for the ad to clear up. Actually, we can... We can do this, okay. Welcome back. Okay. Let's catch up a little bit. Okay, congrats, Slick, on showing that you're cool with 50,000 channel points. You get VIP, I think. I'll have to look and see what I wrote down for it. But my phone vibrating? Why is my phone going off? Oh, okay. And then you're gonna watch Tadaima Okera. I don't know what that is. Hello! Yes, manga! We're talking about our monthly manga club manga! Yeah, my phone was vibrating. I was like, what's happening? What's going on? Okay, so we have chatted about essentially the entire manga. And now we're gonna be watching some videos. So these ones are the ones that Softy linked. This first one is if Shinmanami Tasogare, pardon the pronunciation, was an anime. This is a 27-second clip that is just an animation of the manga. I don't know if it has DMCA free music, so we're just gonna watch it silent. Look how beautiful that is. I want this to be an anime so bad. Okay. Let's see. There's intro, homophobia explanation, manga 1 chapter 1 explanation, manga 1 impactful response, manga 1, manga 2 introduction. Okay, so we're gonna read, or not read, we're going to watch the segment of this video that is talking about Our Dreams at Dusk. We are not gonna be reading the, or I keep saying reading, we're not gonna be watching the other segments. Isn't it summary Discord? Hell yeah. I don't know how loud this is gonna be. Oh, that might be a little loud. Let me pause our tunes.
Our Dreams at Dusk. This story fundamentally changed my view on not only homosexuality, but LGBTQ+ as a whole. It took my narrow perspective and expanded it beyond belief. You'll soon understand why, but this isn't a story I can summarize like I did with MBH. I'll start by reading the official synopsis. At the peak of a steep hill in the picturesque Anomichi town stands a building with a lounge open to all. An unusual group of friendly people gathers there, each with their own stories to tell. Tasaku Kaname is a troubled high school student who is prepared to commit suicide because his classmates found out that he might be gay. As he questions his existence, the sight of a mysterious woman jumping off of a nearby building leaves him utterly startled. He rushes to the scene only to discover her unharmed, soon learning that she is the owner of the aforementioned building, known to everyone as Someone. Someone notices Tatsuku's nervous temperament and offers him an ear if he's willing to share his problems. While speaking to her, he realizes that the most painful...
Okay, I'm gonna pause that there to just talk. So, someone does say, I will lend an ear, but a big part of when she says that is she will always say, you know, you can tell me anything, but I won't listen, right? She's always like, yeah, you can tell me that, but I'm not really gonna give you anything back. You can tell me whatever, you can confess whatever, but I am simply going to just... the information is going to be just around me. I'm not going to really be, you know, committing to a dialogue with you.
The thing is his inability to accept his sexuality. Emotional and heartfelt, Shiminami Tasogare is a realistic take on the struggles of Tatsuku among other lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender people in coming to terms with themselves. That's the general story. It mostly follows Tatsuku's life, starting from the day before summer break. He spends most of his time divided between visiting the lounge, club practice, and remodeling abandoned buildings with the loungegoers. Eventually, he goes back to school, and that becomes a major part of his life too. The reason that Dusk changed my view where MBH couldn't is because they're completely different. First is the focus of the story. MBH focuses like a sniper rifle that precisely aims at, carefully observes, and then fires at the topic it wants to tackle. For example, the first chapter and its focus on grief. Keep in mind that a new reader wouldn't know of Ryuji's
Oh, potential spoilers for this manga. I have not read this manga, and I granted haven't heard of it.
The first
But
page is a dream of Yaichi at his parents' funeral. The next
we can skip this. This segment is explaining what Our Dreams at Dusk did where the other manga couldn't, but we did not read that other manga.
is the opposite in every sense. Tasuku is a gay teen who is completely overwhelmed, which is fair. He was jokingly outed and made fun of in the first page. He's just a hormonal kid who's trying to understand and accept his own identity, as well as the identities of his new companions. These more experienced people give him both support and viewpoints that he never thought he would have. All of this together brings out so many emotions that overpower everything.
And that really shows as well where our main character, right? He has these conflicting feelings about his identity, and then he goes to the drop-in center. He joins the Cat Clutter Club, and like the video said, he sees other people who are comfortable with their identities, and he found a community, right? And that's why communities are so important. Finding people who think like you, who are in similar shoes of you, who have been in a similar situation as you, is so important, right? Representation matters 100%, right? And I know a lot of people in like I'll say generation or age group, a lot of them found queer communities through things like Tumblr, right? A lot of people found people like them or discovered a lot of queerness through things like Tumblr and the internet and blogs and forums, and seeing other people talk about their experiences and explain what things are, and then you kind of discover this whole other world, right? And I guess for people now, it might be more like TikTok or Twitter. Just like being able to see how other people identify and how they represent themselves and how they navigate that. It can be so helpful for so many people because, one, not everybody knows everything, right? Not everybody knows every label or what every label means, or even that some things are an option, right? And then you find these people who know these things and who present themselves these ways, and then for a lot of people that'll click like, oh, I think I might be that. I think I identify with that. That makes so much sense. That's how I've been feeling. And for our main character here, that was the drop-in center, right? He goes and what he knows of are people, oh, they make fun of gay people. Oh, it's not good to be gay. It's bad. And then he sees all these people like Haruko, who's very comfortable with her identity. And like, I didn't think being non-binary meant I was considered trans. Yeah, exactly. And I think a lot of people don't think like that either. That non-binary is under the trans umbrella, or even the fact you don't have to have a label. Everyone's journey is different. Yeah, and I think there's a lot of pressure from definitely people outside of the queer community to have a label, kind of the "what are you" sort of thing, because for people who don't understand, they need a word to understand it, whereas you can just be like, yeah, I like this, or I feel like this, but like the definitions of the labels just don't really quite fit.
Perspective as the reader reflects this. Emotions pour onto the page, completely destroying the restrictions of the paneling. When Tasuku feels like his life is falling apart, the roof literally crumbles onto him. When he feels rage towards this world that doesn't accept him, the surroundings fade into a black void, filled with only his tears. Upon his listener leaving him, it loses even that, turning pure white. My favorite example of this is when he feels envy towards a lesbian couple. This feeling makes him reflect on his own desires and shame for having them. The feeling of reading that scene is beautifully captured in this animation.
Oh my gosh. I think we just watched this. We have that panel, right, where he is new to the drop-in center, right? And then we have Haruko, and she's just like, oh, like, have you ever seen people like that, like us? And then he has the, oh, you're lucky, right? Because he has not fully accepted who he is yet. He's still kind of, he doesn't really talk about it. Like, people at the drop-in center kind of know, and he also kind of knows, but he hasn't said it, right? He hasn't told anybody, I'm gay. I have a crush on a man. I like this guy. And then he like the, oh, you're lucky because Haruko is comfortable with herself and her identity. And then he sees lucky because he wants that for himself, right? And oh boy, he learns that he can have that too.
Tasuku's life is filled with powerful moments like this. At times, he feels small and hopeless. At others, he feels that the world is big and beautiful. Emotions reign supreme in this story, not just for him. Others often distort the pages in the same way, and what's amazing is how it blurs the line between reality and fiction. Frequently, those not actually feeling the emotions will react to the imagery on display as if it were real. This is seen most in Someone. Honestly, I don't even understand the emotion portrayed here, but often they appear to be jumping off of ledges, and everyone reacts with absolute terror. This emotionally forward perspective is what makes this manga work. Yes, these characters talk about their perspectives logically, and
I think since they brought up like someone jumping off ledges, right? I think it also represents the freeness that someone's son has, the mm, I guess freeness. And I know after Disco finished reading, we kind of talked about he kind of had the question of, is someone real? Is she a real character, or is she kind of this personified, like you said, diary? You compared her to a diary, right? Is she a real character? Is she a real person in this universe? She jumps off of these things. Everyone has this reaction of, oh my God, like, what is happening? Why are you jumping off? Like, what's happening? Oh no. And then she appears right back next to them. And I do think she is a real character, but it definitely made me think, right? Because you can talk, but I won't listen. Kind of not giving advice. Kind of you can let everything off your chest and you can work through it yourself. Because sometimes you just need someone to talk to, not necessarily to give you information back, but kind of to work through your thoughts, right? Hello, Softy. And I definitely thought it was a very interesting analysis of her character. Just is she real? is is she kind of this entity who's there to help people work through their emotions, and then she's gone because she's very whimsical, right? Very whimsical. But since they mentioned that her jumping off, I wanted to mention that because I thought it was a very interesting take on her character.
and that definitely helped me understand LGBTQ plus people more. But it's in the powerful ways that their emotions are put on display that gave me enough clarity, or maybe compassion? I'm honestly not sure, but it gave me enough something that I can now truly say how I view this marginalized group of people as equals. Also, the art is so good. It might look nice now, but in context, being hit with a panel like this is mesmerizing.
Yes.
The last
I love that panel so much. We've talked about it so much today, but I love
Thing
that
I'll
one.
say about it is that, like MBH, I left out so much. Despite both of these stories having relatively few chapters, they pack so much within. Dusk especially feels at least 15 chapters longer than it is. 10 out of 10. Read this, please.
Yes. Yes, I agree. Oh. Okay, they're on the next manga, which I don't know anything about this one. Okay, we have this one, and then we have this Reddit post. When I was looking on my anime list, because I wanted to see what other people in the forums were talking about, I was not impressed. Now, granted, there aren't a lot of reviews on my anime list for this manga, but one of the top ones was a do not recommend, and I was like, whoa there, partner, what are we talking about? Okay, so the one we just watched was the oh, I'm in the wrong channel. We just watched the one that was, just scroll up past all my stuff, How 3 Manga Shattered My Closed-Mindedness, and then this one is the Our Dreams at Dusk, The Use of Visual Metaphors by Lines in Motion. This one is a little longer. This one is about 26 minutes. Oh, I can unmute this one. I muted it earlier because I opened all the videos and they just started auto playing. And then I clicked back and all of them were like watched. And I was like, wait, what's happening? Why are they all watched? Wait, this one, I know we've talked about this a lot today, the visual metaphors, because the whole manga is full of them. And I'm really excited to see someone else's in-depth analysis. Actually, before we do that, we're gonna go through this the Reddit post first, actually. Am I gonna mess this up really bad? Trying to make it fit nicey. Oh, I got it fitting nicey. Okay. We watched the animation and then I realized the animation was in the other video. Since this thread is relevant to what we watched, we'll go over that. And then I don't know if we'll watch the whole use of visual metaphor video, but I might skip around a little bit because I'm really intrigued by that and I really enjoyed all of the visuals in the manga. Okay, so this one is Our Dreams at Dusk, the LGBTQ plus manga that made me come out and changed my life. So this is just a post on Reddit, and when I was looking at stuff too, this came up several times for me, and I know Softy shared it as well. So I want to go through and read this little post. So this person says, "Oh, let's turn our tunes back on." Okay. Our Dreams at Dusk forced me, inspired me, and pushed me to come out of the closet as a gay guy, and now I'm moving out and starting a life with less control from my homophobic family. This past year, I was forced to be alone with a lot of my thoughts, and with me doing college online the past 2 semesters, I didn't have anyone to talk to. Understandably, I felt so isolated and was barely holding on. It was as if the foundations holding me up for my whole life were slowly cracking and wearing down. With this introspection came my desire to escape into manga and anime, which were extremely beneficial in unexpected ways. But I took a particular liking to BL media. I was in denial of why I enjoyed it so much and guiltily indulged in a fantasy I felt I could never have. If I were to put these feelings into words, I felt like a fujoshi who wanted a BL relationship but could never have one. In May, I saw Our Dreams at Dusk recommended for an accurate depiction of LGBTQ plus struggles. At this point, I was still in denial but so close to acceptance that I knew it would force me to come to terms with myself. I read the first few chapters and kept thinking, am I ready to do this? The manga does such a fantastic job at conveying the feelings of confusion, frustration, euphoria, and visceral self-acceptance that didn't hit hard until I saw it in myself. It was as if reading the manga while I was still in denial was an introduction to my feelings after coming out to myself, and continuing to read on a couple of weeks later, the answers I arrived at without reading further were the answers I'd already found. The main character speaks with other members of the LGBTQ plus community about accepting his sexual orientation and the tremendous support he receives and the life experiences he goes through with this group, bringing the phrase, your newly found family, to life. People offer advice and their own experiences. They're there to cry to. They're willing to share their trauma and tribulations to give him hope, and they don't question his sexual orientation. It simply is. Beyond the main character, the manga also depicts other people's struggles, such as how different people react to their sexual orientation in a more introspective or outward way, or their gender identity. It shows people in different stages of the acceptance process and how the intersectionality of their circumstances plays into how they react. Those raised in homophobic families are obviously more hesitant to come out, and those with judgmental friends and family members are less willing to express themselves. But ultimately, each character comes to understand that they have to be firm in themselves because many will not accept them. If you're questioning, I hope this manga acts as a guidebook for you in some way. If you're already out, maybe reading this will remind you how far you've come. And if you want to understand the struggles of people in the LGBTQ plus community, look no further. Yes, 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 yes. Okay, that's so beautiful. Yes, this manga, 100%. Like I was talking about earlier, it puts you in the shoes of many different characters. It puts you in the shoes of our main character who is coming to terms with his identity. It puts you in the shoes of the guy he has a crush on who has that internalized homophobia from his upbringing. And yes. I'm like shaking this Reddit post with like yes energy. I don't know if I really want to read the comments. Reddit comments are normally not good. Let's see. Found it really cathartic because I used to struggle a lot with my own sexuality in terms of internalization. Yes, I think this manga does a very good job at showing the internalized homophobia and just like the self-discovery about how it's not always linear, right? About how other characters are very, very open and the other characters are still questioning, and other characters definitely like are just kind of in a phase of I don't know what I am, but I like doing this, which is we see through Misora, right? They're very much 100% like, hey, I like doing this, but yo, don't question me. Whoa. Self-discovery is the thing. It is the thing. Let's heart. Yes. Oh, okay. Love to read this. This manga really helped me 2 years ago when I was struggling with self-esteem and self-acceptance before coming out. I stumbled upon it as similarly as you. I was in a period of reading a lot of BL, which for those who don't know, BL is boy love, which is yaoi, like boy on boy stories. It doesn't always necessarily have to be like not safe for work, but you know, just boy love. I already knew I was gay, but I still felt I could never come out. I lived vicariously through the stories. When I started reading Our Dreams at Dusk, I didn't expect much more than any other BL, but boy, did I cry so much reading it. It helped me so much to feel seen and see a character going through similar feelings and experiences presented so vividly and expressively. I love it and come back to it every couple years to read back and maybe relearn some of the lessons there. Currently rereading it and just stopped to look for more info online of this comic after reading a beautiful line from it. You can't gauge the sense of distance between people unless you're sometimes in conflict with each other. That sort of thing will smash gentle hearts, but silence is to be broken for some things so as to live while riding the same boat. Even if we can't understand each other, I want to live in a world where we can live without having to understand each other. Yes! I mean, the little heart was supposed to go to Slick, but I don't know if it worked. Slick, that was for you! Let's close that. Oh, that's the last one. Let's. There we go. I like that post. Mobile Twitch is so funky. I hate you. I hate using any app on mobile. Like mobile Discord, ugh. Mobile Twitch, ugh. Gross. Okay, we are going. Oh, I don't want to just mute that. Let me turn off our music, and we're gonna go into Our Dreams at Dusk, the use of visual metaphors by Lines in Motion on YouTube's. I don't know how loud this video is, so I'll adjust if it's too loud.
Visual metaphors are prominent within manga. They can be integral in allowing art to speak for itself. Connotations and denotations mix together to be interpreted into a figurative meaning. They can be used to provoke an emotion within the reader. to teach values and ethics in ways text can't. It's a step further into the simplicity of symbolism, and effective use being road signs, for example. Why use many words when a simple sign can encapsulate said words much faster and more universally? For design, it can be very effective to capitalize off humanity's global familiarity with imagery. Some mangaka incorporate those semiotics into their work creatively, allowing symbolism to visually interpret informative context, rather than multiple text boxes spelling it out to the reader. Taking advantage of this allows mangaka such as Satoshi Kon, who frequently blended mirages of imagination and reality as motifs towards social themes, to enhance his visual storytelling. Our Dreams at Dusk would not be the same story it is without Yuki Kamitani's effective use of visual metaphors. The 4 volumes of this story live and breathe symbolic and analogous imagery, with drawing techniques being so succinct and articulate in demonstrating the lives of multiple LGBT+ characters within raw and sensitive scenes. I don't think this story would have been so well received, nor as effective through its narrative, without Kamitani's distinctive style that captures the harsh difficulties many LGBT+ people face in such hard-hitting ways. And that authenticity is more than likely due to Kamitani being both asexual and ex-gender themselves. Their own experiences of being a minority towards society's social norms makes for a story that for some readers may feel identical to their own struggles. Explorations of LGBT+ stories, or stories that include LGBT+ characters in general, isn't anything new. Whilst they might all convey the same messages, themes, and ideals, it's Kamitani's unique display of visually illicit metaphors that are most noticeable and memorable for me. Whilst there are breaking points in the manga that slap you in the face with its words, it's the pages with no text.
100%. Like they said, this manga would not be the same without the use of the visual metaphors and the imagery in it. Like, it conveys the emotions in a way words can't. Yeah, the editing is so good. Same with the other video we watched. The editing it's insane. And it's so pretty.
The pages that solely rely on readers interpreting a strong feeling or intense sentiment that are so relatable in a way that gets me choked up. Kamitani themselves stated they find it easier to reflect abstract things through their drawings than putting them into words. And Kamitani's work speaks for themselves. Our Dreams at Dusk expresses the frustration of microaggressions, the daily toil oppression can emotionally take, and released all of that frustration into a story where its metaphorical imagery alone can speak 1,000 words. Before deep diving into the recurring themes within Kamitani's work and how they elevate each scene, I have to reel back and showcase one of the biggest influences of Kamitani's work, and that would be the importantly influential shoujo mangaka herself, Moto Hagio. Moto Hagio is part of the Year 24 group, a collection of well-established female mangaka who are influential and pivotal into shaping up shoujo manga into what they are today. With mangaka like Moto Hagio, Ryoko Ikeda, Keiko Takamiya, Minori Kimura, Tosie Kihara, and Yumiko Oshima, to name a few. This group of women were at the helm of revolutionizing shoujo stories within the 1970s, and wrote many of the classics that are still referenced today. Their stories carried central themes, delving into politics, gender identity, philosophy, and social class issues. And Moto Hagio explored these themes through beautiful pages that explored the usage of visual metaphors. In the episode of Manben that she attended, a show hosted by Naoki Urasawa as he talks with a variety of mangaka about their works, she stated that she finds the imaginative and metaphorical parts of her work to be some of the most fun, and notably demonstrates one of the first times she experienced being touched by a metaphorical-esque art piece.
寝ながらね、頭の中でこうずーっとリピートしていくんですよ。そしたらね、このコマだけセリフがどんどん増えてくるんですよ。親友だったのに僕はどうしてこんなことしなきゃいけないんだと。お前は私を裏切ってたのかとかね、ずっとセリフが増えていく。
膨らんでくるんだ。
これでハッと思って改めて読み返したら、2行しかないとか。
It's therefore easy to see where Kamitani's love for Moto Hagio's work comes from. with the combination of fantastical metaphors with intense emotions to the exploration of gender and sexuality. Both combinations are majorly influential in Kamatani's work. Kamatani's use of separating scenes through different angles inside fluid compositions, or their application of dynamic shapes that reach out from the page, all come back to that Moto Hagio influence. The hollowed out, non-detailed characters against the busy, wavy lines.
Literally, they are so talented. Like, looking at all these things, and it's just like, I frequently will be like reading stuff or watching stuff or even just like consuming any media, right? Seeing things that people have drawn or things people have written. And I just think like somebody made this. Somebody thought of this and brought it to life. And I just think that is so beautiful and so amazing. Like people's brains are just so beautiful.
In both works, captures the inner feelings of the main character without a single line of text. Hagio's influence towards the way Kamatani introduces unconventional compositions onto their pages allows for each section to connect to another so vividly, smooth transitions from one scene to the next without having panel borders separating illustrations. The page that struck me the most with this practice was the scene of Haruko coming out to her parents as a lesbian. Coming out scenes are incredibly delicate to portray accurately, to depict the varying emotions that so many go through. It would have been simpler to showcase close-ups of Haruko's face, showing anguish and unease during an anxiety-inducing conversation. And yet, Kamatani instead refrains from this, rather showcasing Haruko's emotions through a crowbar, comparing the sensation of hazardously ripping away at buildings for renovation to coming out to family. With just a few quick words, revealing the truth about herself she'd kept hidden, like ripping off a plaster in one go from an aggravated wound, leaving it exposed to the world with a swift and potentially painful motion. For Haruko, this was a moment of giving her ultimatum, both literally and figuratively knocking down the walls she put around herself, of frustratingly not being ashamed of who she is, and speaking her truth, whether her parents want it or not. Our Dreams at Dusk starts with a horrifyingly bleak beginning.
Yeah, there are definitely a few manga that I've seen. This one and then the other video that talked about the 3 manga. I definitely want to go and read all of those. I'm very, very excited.
A young boy named Tasuku so hindered and panicked by being outed in front of his classmates as gay that he contemplates suicide. It is a frighteningly and sadly realistic occurrence that happens across the globe, and in Japan specifically, where there are high suicide attempt rates amongst the LGBT community, it is but a horrible reminder of how far countries are yet to go.
This when I was talking about at the end of the manga when Ilya's partner passes away, and I was saying that it was so sad. It was sad but also joyous, and I said that having an elderly queer person exist in itself is just like such a happy thing because of this, because of it just. Oh, it's just so sad, right? The suicide rates are higher, just especially in like today's climate. There are so many people who simply do not want queer people to exist, right? And so just having elderly queer people is just such a beautiful thing. And and seeing how Ilya's husband not only was an elderly queer person, but one who, he passed away in the hospital and he passed away happy. It was
And improving life for gender and sexual minorities. But it's the pages following on, once Tasuku returns to school the day after being outed, does Kamatani pinpoint that out-of-body, numb feeling of being despised and ridiculed for just being who you are. The slur that Tasuku used in a panicked self-defensive manner at the very beginning of the manga, that internalized homophobia which crept up on him as he struggled to act normal to his classmates, being thrown back at him. It's 3 simple words, and it terrifies him. Everything surrounding him becomes a shell of the real world, distorting into nothing but noise. Kamatani uses this fisheye lens effect to reenact that indescribable feeling of being outed, having everything warp around you, life still moving and things happening out of your control, whilst you simultaneously stay grounded. For people to feel so distant, yet so uncomfortably close at the same time. Kamatani displays that stomach-dropping experience throughout further pages, of clouds appearing, people blending into more abstract features, the surrounding world feeling like a visual demonstration of suffocation, like a temporary hit of tinnitus, all sounds blending into one continuous ringing. The sense of fear and confusion overwhelming as everything warps and melts like a Salvador Dali painting, this sense of surrealism injecting fear into just a few pages. And it's hauntingly ironic that surrealism is brought up in this context, where Japan developed its own Japanese-style fauvism, often known as shuru, around the early to mid-20th century. Japanese artists started to design surrealism around that time, experimenting with imagery that didn't conform to the way the Japanese government liked. And Japanese artists who delved into surrealism, like Ichiro Fukuzawa, were not so dissimilarly treated like how Tasaku is treated in these sequences, being ridiculed and ostracized for not conforming to how society wants them to. And that pressure LGBT+ people face can feel so restrictive in life. Even for my own videos, I do all my recordings at night and a relatively low volume in fear of my family hearing the topics I talk about. It's an indescribable feeling that Kamatani so accurately portrays in their visual metaphors. But death and suicide aren't topics that Kamatani shies away from. It's a recurring theme throughout their stories. Their two depictions of death in their newest ongoing story, The End of the Journey, which isn't yet localized, struck me by how vividly they show the presence of death without a mere mention of the word, utilizing swans in a plethora of metaphorical devices. The themes of light, love, death, transformation and peace being the most intrusive in showing an elderly lady during her last moments of life. Both the reader's eyes and the flock of swans follow this lady to the focal point of the page, the light contrasting the dark, in a commonly known light at the end of the tunnel scenario. Whilst swans might symbolize light, they also symbolize transformation, initiated from the black swan theory, showing a metamorphosis of the cycle of life, much like the lady's life now transforming to the last step, which leads to the last symbology of the swan, peace, of course linking to the peaceful way of passing through old age. These analytical comments might sound overreaching to some, but it must be said that these connotations of the swan and other objects are what enables Kamatani to make textless pages like this translate a message so well, just by using symbolic imagery and metaphors. And this correlates to their other depiction of death in that manga, with a cascade of montage illustrations, flashes of memories with the main character and their best friend growing up together. They're enclosed within an abundance of Japanese morning glory.
I have not watched or read this manga, but I want to read this one now.
Flowers, which more so in context for Japanese readers, will know the meaning of said flowers is love, affection and mortality. Morning glory flowers bloom and die within the same day, and even with a very limited knowledge of the Japanese language, it's easy to depict that something tragic has happened to the main character's best friend. Though, given the
Also, I feel like I haven't read this manga. I feel like I'm getting spoiled on this
analogy
manga
of the
right now.
flowers and Kamatani's constant portrayal of LGBT+ characters is more so a love interest. Being able to pick up on these messages shows an effective use of visual storytelling. Kamatani once again exploring the undiscovered boundaries of developing narratives through imagery alone.
Oh, look how beautiful!
Someone-san is probably one of the least abstract metaphors used in Our Dreams at Dusk, though I do say this loosely, for Someone-san is a mystery both to the reader and the cast within the story. In many ways they're a juxtaposition of death, being there as the distraction of Tasaku's attempted suicide, and appearing during many of the main cast's darkest moments. I say they walk the tightrope between abstract and reality, because in many ways Someone-san is a person. They walk, listen, breathe, talk like any regular human, and yet there's this intrigue to the way they're displayed almost as a metaphysical being.
Yes, 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 yes. That's what we were talking about. I mentioned after Disco, my dear partner, finished reading it, he was saying, he asked, like, we had the conversation of, is someone San like a real person? Are they an actual person in the series? Are they just this sort of metaphor? Are they just this kind of this being, this entity that comes and helps these people discover themselves? Like I mentioned, the whole you can talk but I won't listen sort of things. Just you can air out all your feelings, but you're not necessarily going to get something back. The jumping off, the kind of they go where they please when they want to. This whole sort of whimsicality and ambiguity to their character. The are they real? And yeah, definitely they are, but like they're mentioning sort of the what were the words they used?
Yet, there's this intrigue to the way they're displayed almost as a
Metaphysical being. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Someone-san, a person of no name, flies, disappears within the blink of an eye, and has detached themselves from society in ways to achieve contentment. Many have concluded that someone-san may be somewhat of a self-insert of Yuki Kamatani, this
Ooh.
aloof asexual who expresses no outright emergence to label themselves within a gender binary. But it's their role within the story that seems ephemeral yet impermanent, never giving Tasuku words of encouragement but unsolicited advice in the form of listening. Tell me anything, I won't listen though, being their repeated saying. Someone-san allows characters in the cast to vent, to express the frustrations of society's want for them to be who they aren't, with no return of commentary. Someone who exists
I hope you had a good haircut.
but is conceptual, regularly flying from buildings.
Have a good dinner.
Smoke and stars trailing behind them, perhaps as a way of signifying their freedom and openness of solitude. Someone-san is both unreachable yet constant in reappearing when Tasuku needed guidance the most, but their resolve in saying nothing towards Tasuku's issues may have been the step he needed in realizing the best person to understand himself and treat himself better was himself. Sometimes people understand themselves better, not through being told the answers, but through being listened to and finding out they knew the answers all along.
Yeah, yeah, that's what I was talking about. Like sometimes you don't always need someone to tell you things. Sometimes just saying things out loud can help your brain just work through it.
And yet, opposingly, someone-san tries to stay anonymous even when Tasuku reaches out, reveling in just being, rather than finding a reason or title for their existence. And Tasuku doesn't understand this. I think many readers might not either, but it's the willingness to still support someone despite not understanding that is a great first step into acceptance.
Yeah, yeah. I definitely do that all the time. I definitely be blabbing, just blah, 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 blah. And then I'm just kind of like, oh, well, thanks. I got it now. I'm good. I figured it out.
Space is continual, both in a literal sense and by how much Kamatani uses different depictions of space within multiple pieces of their work. It's used simply to demonstrate the world from an outsider's perspective, to be an observer, watching people achieve things that you wish to achieve, but not having the courage to. Dealing with issues surrounding solitude and isolation, much like the main character Yutaka in Shonen Note, a young soprano choir singer who feels each and every sound to an intense, sensitive degree. But most commonly in Kamatani's work, space is used within a magical sense, showing the ethereal performances from the singers in Shonen Note, where each lyric and sound executed from the main characters cross the boundaries of what we know, their voices carrying into the night. It's definitely hyperbolic, and to showcase the sound in an inaudible medium, but it definitely makes for beautiful pages. Which finally leads to the sci-fi elements of space, where Kamatani draws UFOs, a hobby of Tasuku's, as a way of representing alienation, of Tsubaki, the love interest of Tasuku in this story, being swept away and not really knowing himself nor how he truly feels about his own sexuality, or his relationship with Tasuku, almost feeling like a foreign object himself. That sense of alienation and encapsulation corresponds to the other repeated visual metaphor, entrapment. I think Kamitani's repetitive motif of using water, fish, and fish bowls to correspond the feelings of entrapment is perhaps my favourite metaphor in Our Dreams at Dusk. Misora is the youngest character of the cast, a young kid who finds comfort when surrounded by others in the LGBT community, being able to express themselves through more feminine fashion and presentation without warrant of judgment. At a young age, thoughts surrounding gender and sexuality, especially within a discriminative country whose laws still don't protect the LGBT community, can be confusing. With lack of resources about sexuality and gender and a small amount of safe spaces, Misora is often shown being shameful and disorientated, confused about who they are, how to express themselves, and whether that's what they truly want. Kamitani comparing Misora to a fish in a bowl is the perfect analogy for that entrapped feeling. To be someone swimming in your own thoughts, it can be frustrating. Having to battle against cis-heteronormative and conservative thoughts and views, if that's all you've been taught and shown, it can take years before truly accepting yourself. There can be a lot of self-hate to push through, self-doubt and resentment, and most importantly, isolation. Just like the fish constantly shown in a bowl, Misora is trapped, feeling
Yes. First, I want to say that I got all these. No, just watching this video and then having them mention and like do a more deep dive into a lot of the things that I talked about. I just, yes. We talked about this, about how I mentioned the scene when we talked about it, how Misora is, like they're talking about trapped. That they were trapped in the glass and drowning, and because the scene where our lovely main character is asking all these questions, no, it just feels so validating. Be like, yes, I understood it. Yes.
engulfed in these confusing feelings, whilst looking out and seeing others being happy. It never outright stated within the manga as to how Misora identifies, but being young and already so non-conformative in presentation compared to most, still allows for Kamitani to pull at readers' heartstrings. To see someone so young.
I also like that they didn't give Misora an identity, because it kind of further goes into that not everyone needs a label. Like, people can do what they want and express themselves as they wish without necessarily conforming to a label. And like this video is mentioning that Misora is young, right? I believe Misora is in middle school, and you don't need a label, Misora. You can do what you want.
Hiding what makes them happy and being overwhelmed when facing the public in feminine clothing. And yet, in a bittersweet scene, we see Tsubaki, a guy who many judge as the stereotypical athletic macho straight guy, look to the fishes as friends. It is still left up in the air as to whether Tsubaki himself isn't straight and suffers major compulsive heterosexuality, or if he is a straight guy who grows and learns from his bigotry through befriending so many LGBT characters in the cast as the manga progresses. Either way, I love the symbolic imagery of his fondness for the fishes, metaphorical to the elements of allyship, that even people as secluded and confused as Misora will always have people to talk to be comfortable around, whether that's other people in the community, finding compassion within friends, or talking to people online. Going through troubles and issues revolving LGBT issues is never something anyone should have to face in isolation.
Yes! Also, I'm gonna bring it up again. I know we talked about it, but the editing in this video is so beautiful.
Expressionism is art made to communicate a meaning.
Oh, the scene made me cry!
Invoking an emotion within the reader, and Kamitani uses it ubiquitously in their work. Yuki Kamitani uses expressionism to demonstrate a breaking point within Tasuku's life, a moment of shattering clarity in which his true infatuated feelings towards Tsubaki are revealed. Heteronormativity had held Tasuku back throughout most of his childhood, making him hold back feelings and desires because of the country's more conservative views and influence on its people. Due to this, he's trickling thoughts of Sabaki wishing to be wanted, to have the lightest touches of intimacy without homophobic backlash, erupted. Tasuku's true feelings being revealed and shattering that wall he'd built around himself as protection. And as relieving as it can be for some, to put a name to the feelings you've been having can be frightening to those who know they'll be punished or bullied for said feelings. It's hard to suppress and hide emotions and wants, or in Tasuku's case, to find out your feelings were that intense in the first place. It can make you think about every little action you've done in the past, make you rethink dynamics and recollect all the memories that led to that moment of realization that you're gay. And this is continued later in the manga, where Tasuku, now fully aware of his feelings for Sabaki, is overwhelmed by just their interactions. Attraction or purely liking someone of the same gender.
Yeah, and we talked about this with some of the questions that we had. The question of how the author effectively build tension and suspense through the story, and kind of like they're talking about how their relationship develops throughout the story, even if it's more of their relationship through their perception of each other. That's definitely where like the suspense comes in for the reader. Oops.
Can be hard to manage. Emotions aren't meant to be controlled within that sense, and you can see Tasuku both trying to hide, nurture, and keep those feelings under wraps, to try and relish in those emotions whilst bottling them up. I like the euphemism of stars that Kamatani applies to Tasuku's feelings, something so bright, warm.
Oh my goodness! Welcome in, everybody! Oh my gosh, thank you for the raid, Kazuma! How was your stream? You're playing Metal Gear? Hello? How's your stream? We are currently doing our monthly manga club. We're talking about Our Dreams at Dusk, which is a beautiful story exploring self-discovery with LGBTQ themes. And we're watching this video currently about the use of visual metaphors in the manga. Oh, so good. Oh, so good. The manga is so beautiful. It is so amazing. Yeah, we talked about it. We went over all of our thoughts and went over some questions, and we're wrapping up with some videos about the manga. We watched some about how the story helps people get over like homophobia with the queer themes, where we watched an animation, we read a Reddit thread, and now we're looking at the visual metaphors in this very, very beautiful story. Thank you for the raid! If you all have to get up and stretch and go get food and just, enjoy your day, I understand. And thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it.
And attractive, but perhaps a little too bright.
I've talked about this so many times today, but this is one of my favorite panels in the entire manga.
Something that is becoming harder and harder to hide before eventually those feelings will explode, like a dying star's last moments. One of the most globally admired paintings is The Starry Night, a painting rampant of expressionistic imagery with contoured forms making up whirling clouds and shining stars for a mesmerizing piece. A design so fluid and easy on the eyes to create a calming scenic landscape.
Let me grab my
Kamatani
water.
Follows a similar path, though not in the same impressionistic style as Vincent, regarding the similarity of gentle swirling compositions. The inclusion of stars and clouds creates a dreamlike state where everything melts away. A magical aura fills the scene as Tasuku feels comfortable enough to sleep in his surroundings of the lounge. The lounge is the main setting of the story, perhaps regarded as a second home for many, where all of the LGBT+ characters come together to create a safe environment to be who they are without fear of being discriminated. And that sense of calm, of being comfortable within the lounge, is a constant mirage, a metaphorical dreamlike house where no harm can be done, with bubbles of atmospheric illumination continuously surrounding the building and creating this positive beacon of blooming light. The lounge is a safe zone where emotions that were hidden can be revealed, all the hurt bubbled up inside, let loose in a place of no judgment. And the lounge is a place of comfort the cast needs, because everything about being LGBT can be incredibly overwhelming. Having to correct someone of your gender, pronouns, that you're not straight. Those are just a few of the things people deal with daily, and much like how Kamatani pictures.
No, I 100%, while reading it, I was just like, I want to go there. I wish I could be sitting in the lounge while reading this manga right now. It seems so cozy. Just like the atmosphere, and then, you know, the beautiful music that would always be playing, the sense of community with all of them. Oh, I 100% wanted to go there so bad.
It on this page, it's the equivalent of being buried, of having problem after problem, a never-ending recurrence of dealing with intolerance. Having to blow off microaggressions because you just can't be bothered to pick up an argument. Having to laugh off homophobic jokes at family meals. To feel that stabbing pain of mistakenly being misgendered, and so much more. All those emotions can slowly eat away at people. Those commotions and scenarios being so common, it almost feels robotic in the repetitive way you react to them. Like how alien and foreign it feels for Tasuku to imagine himself romantically involved with a girl. Kamatani draws him and a faceless girl in this abstractical way to show a sense of forced conformity. Tasuku knowing full well a heterosexual relationship is what is expected of him, and yet he's not even able to picture himself in that.
Good. I truthfully, I've never had to deal with that. I'm not like super close with a lot of my family and don't really go to any family functions. But I know, actually when I was with my partner's family, and I didn't even show my face. I kind of just like, they were doing political discussions, right? And I kind of just sat in a different room. I was like, I'm not gonna come out until they're done, because I don't want to participate in this. They don't know nothing about me, and probs never will, but I will let them feel put out when I don't laugh at them. Yes. I know this isn't 100% the same, but my partner's mom asked, was like, is your family conservative? My family is quite liberal, and I felt very rude, and I don't like being rude, right? But she asked like, "Oh, is your family conservative?" And I laughed in her face. I went, "No, absolutely not." Like, you might be, but like, just like the thought of that was so baffling. I felt rude as fuck when she was like, "Is your family conservative?" And I laughed. My instinct was, I lost all composure and just laughed and was like, no. The conversation ended there. But I was like, yeah, absolutely not. As far from it as it can be. I was like, yeah, not even close. Not even close. I mean, like, I'm just thinking, like, I haven't had to experience that with my family, and like, if my friends were to be homophobic, I wouldn't let that fly. Mm-mm. Mm-mm. I mean, granted, if my friends were to be homophobic, we probably wouldn't be friends for very long after that. Unless there was, you know, a conversation where, you know, hey, that was messed up, you shouldn't say that, and here's why. And if the response was anything other than, oh, my bad, I'll do better, they're like, I don't care. I just don't tolerate that. There's enough hate in the world. I'm not gonna choose to hang out with people who are gonna be hateful. No way.
Scenario properly. Or similar to how Haruko is drawn, ashamed and overshadowed by her father's words in regards to two women getting married, something she herself desperately yearns for with her girlfriend Saki. Even if I were to replace the speech bubble, you know what is being interpreted here. A woman who strives in wanting to marry a woman she loves, but being overcome by the reminder that homosexuality just isn't the norm, and that's an immense amount of baggage to carry. Kamatani punching readers with poignant, disheartened emotions through a relatively simple page. One of my favourite sequences in Our Dreams at Dusk is this quaint moment of delicacy between Tasuku and Tsubaki, a quite literal picturesque moment of importance within their relationship.
Yes!
Tasuku shows his recollection of happy memories, the good, the bad, and everything that makes him human.
I do
Because
too
despite
so
how
much.
Society tries to frame
I loved her character immensely.
gay people
Yes. This panel, I loved it when she really wanted to stand up for him, and she was like, I don't like the vibes of this girl. She's disrespecting you, and I don't like that, and I don't want to stand for it. And he was kind of like, it's okay, chill. But I was like, yes.
we still hurt and experience suffering at the hands of actions and words. And that was something Tasuku wanted Sabaki to realise due to his own decisions of being intolerant and prejudiced during moments of the manga. Realising his actions, whether unintentional or not, were harming people who didn't deserve it for just trying to live their lives like a normal person. Our Dreams at Dusk is a nuanced story showcasing the lives of people within the LGBT community and the daily issues they face. It's ignited by Yuki Kamatani's analogies, an overall unique display of stunning illustrations. They flaunt emotive imagery and heart-wrenching realities in each of their stories. I have no uncertainty that Our Dreams at Dusk is a manga that will stick with me for a long period of time. And it's all thanks to Yuki Kamatani for taking the risk of representing the LGBT community through visual metaphors, giving the community a voice in a medium that is silent.
Yes.
As always, thank you for
That was
watching.
That was like almost a 30-minute video. That didn't even feel like. Oh wait, what's
So
the announcement? What's your
I'm
announcement?
now an official affiliate with.
Never mind. We don't. I was here for the announcement, but then I was not. Oh, we still have the Discord channel up. Yes. Oh, that was such a beautiful video. I want to thank Softy for not only recommending the manga for Manga Club, but for also sharing all of the beautiful resources. And I mentioned this earlier, for helping me kind of change the direction of how I was hosting Manga Club in a way. I feel like I was talking about this earlier with my partner, that my previous manga clubs were more of summarizing and talking about what happened in the manga rather than analyzing and talking like about how it felt to read it and how I enjoyed it. And definitely the questions helped, and I will be pulling questions from that website or other websites that I think are more relevant, just a handful of questions each time. And yes! Okay, so our next manga club, which has been announced in the Discord, we are going to be reading, it is technically a webtoon. I just realized there's a typo. Oh my gosh. I'm realizing that I didn't do my Discord things right. Okay. We are going to be reading The Spark in Your Eyes next. At first, I freaking had it written down, like, we're going to be reading a trillion chapters, but we changed it. The person who recommended it, a friend, Ferp, said that around chapter 25 is a good stopping point. So my goal is going to be about halfway through the month to be at chapter 25, and then maybe seeing when the next stopping point is, because I think that's a lot easier to do, because I probably was not going to be able to read 142 chapters this month and be able to have a good grasp on everything to talk about. So I'll read the quick summary of our next manga. Erkin, a young pharmacist from the north, was orphaned from the war between the northern nations and Mormeria. After making a name for himself in Mormirata, I don't really know how to say that. He is summoned to treat a mysterious master of the castle, whom no one has ever seen. He reluctantly agrees, hoping it will bring him one step closer to finding the infamous Witch of the Sun, who killed his parents during the war. Little does he know, on his quest for vengeance, the witch may have been by his side all along. What will Erkin do when confronted by his sworn enemy turned friend? Yes, that one might be a little more different because I know Webtoon doesn't let you screenshot. I'll figure out a way, but I'm excited for that one. That is July's manga, which well, I technically started yesterday, but I'll say it starts today-ish. I'll probably start reading it this week and then post about it. We don't gotta worry about that ad, but about halfway through the month I will do chapter 25. I think you pull it out on the desktop or the iPad, you should be able to screen it. Thank you. I'll have to do that because I know the app does not, because I went to screenshot a moment in a different webtoon I was reading to share, and it's just like, webtoon doesn't like that. I was like, please no. But I loved Our Dream at Dusk, and it is one of my favorite mangas, probably of all time. Like, it was so beautiful, and I don't know if I said this on stream, but it will definitely be something that I will consider rereading. Potentially rereading when it comes to Pride Month. Maybe Manga Club. I might not make it a thing where like we'll read that manga every year, but I might have a call back to it and talk about rereading it and mention it and potentially watch videos on it. Or just talk about it during Pride Month because it was amazing. It was beautiful. Cinema. It was cinema. I loved it very much. Me too. I can't wait to reread it and then like pick up on things that I might not have picked up on this time, or just remembering everything that happens. Okay, let's see what other people are up to. We have 3 minutes until an advertisement. Oh, let's find. I'm trying to quick find somebody. I'm looking at somebody to see who I want to raid. Sorry, yeah, we're gonna be listening. I'm trying to find someone to raid really quick. I'm looking in the art thing to see if there's somebody from Art Fight. Someone I follow. Drawing and vibing. Oh, I was so nervous to raid people I've never raided before. Trying to get this done before the ad too. Okay, I don't know why I was hoping that somebody else would be streaming about Our Dreams at Dusk, but I really was. Oh my gosh. Oh, sorry. And then now we get to listen to me because I'm gonna be talking. Actually, we're gonna read them. Right? I was like, I'll just search to see. We're actually going to raid somebody who's not even doing art right now. We are going to raid Pudding. They are, let me pull up their profile real quick so I can grab pronouns and everything. About me, Prince VTuber. Okay. femboy, a silly prince who's trying to stream. Thank you for stopping by. No precision, transphobia. Okay, I don't see any pronouns. So they have a lot of prince and femboy written down, but I'm gonna be respectful. Pudding Pie is currently streaming Repo. I really love their design. I've been following, I think I follow them on Twitter and on Blue Sky. I adore their design very, very much. I think we've actually raided into them before, but they are currently playing Repo, so we're gonna raid into them. Here's our raid message. Meenks raid pull up. Maybe one day we'll change it. You can use your emotes, you can use Pudding's emotes, you can use global emotes, you can use whatever emotes you want, but that is our raid message. And thank you all for being here, and I will see you next time. Bye-bye!
There's another item.
Nice.
There's another
Whoa,
one.
it's
I got more
huge.
stuff. I got more stuff.
Oh shit.
Ooh,
That thing has an
Pudding's
ugly
getting
ass
raided.
face.